Suhash Chakma, this is indeed very alarming, but the most shocking fact is that this is a free run that is being given by the state to these Islamist radicals. And Professor Swaran Singh, these threats have always existed after Yunus government, replaced Hasina's regime. But do you think with the kind of anti-India rhetoric that's coming to the fore in the recent past and also just yesterday, do you think that Bangladesh is slowly drifting into Pakistan's orbit?
I think two things are very clear here. One, that Pakistan is using this as an opportunity from day one. And the kind of high-level visits and the kind of decisions of visa on arrival and direct flights and so on, and training of Bangladesh forces, etc., have gone on. It's an opportune time for Pakistan to cultivate Bangladesh. Bangladesh that is already willing, as is being said, to rewrite its own history and almost demolish India's role and role of its own freedom fighters in the liberation of Bangladesh. That's true. So therefore it seems that the chief advisor, Dr. Yunus, is perhaps looking for his legitimacy two ways. One, by pandering to the radical elements on the ground, and then, of course, also seeking legitimacy in Beijing and Islamabad in that sense. Despite that, what we see very clearly is an enormous deceleration of the Bangladesh economy that was once used to be seen as a model of development in South Asia. The growth rate of GDP has gone down from about 6% to virtually 3%. Inflation is up from about 5% to now 10 plus percent just in a matter of a year. And in that sense, now the World Bank has come with a report saying that within this year, 3 million more Bangladeshis would slide below the poverty line. So those are the consequences. And in that kind of a situation where people on the ground are agitated, are being incited by radicals and are facing real-time problems of price rise, etc. Is this frenzy of both Vijay Diwas, because this was an important moment to underline how liberation of Bangladesh took place, and therefore the radicals were inundating the social media with kind of counter narratives, and of course the declaration of elections, which will see this frenzy continuing. But I think one point I want to really underline is it is a separate matter to see these young student leaders, radicals, making incendiary remarks in their speeches or social media. But when you have the chief advisor himself in March, he made incendiary remarks in Beijing regarding India's northeastern region. To all the way 5 days back, you saw that Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh making comments of Sheikh Hasina's role in exporting terrorism into Bangladesh, and then calling of Indian High Commissioner to put that point across again and again. That kind of official patronage to that kind of narrative, I think, is really worrying. And it's not worrying just for simply India-Bangladesh relations. The way it is going to create chaos in Bangladesh, of course, India will have its impact on bilateral relations and on India as well. We remember what happened when Tika Khan was allowing shoot at site orders, and we had 2 million Bangladeshis walking into India. We don't want to imagine that situation happening, but this economic deceleration, the social disruption that we see, almost 32 million youth of Bangladesh today are jobless and are out of educational institutions, which are virtually dysfunctional now. That disruptive environment is going to be dangerous for the future of Bangladesh itself. And I think myopic views of the chief advisor to simply sustain himself staying in power for such a long period of time, particularly when you see with a parallel example of Nepal, interim government immediately declaring the date for elections and chief advisor of Bangladesh taking such long period of time, is that constant uncertainty, instability and economic deceleration which has enormous impact for several decades to come in Bangladesh. Imagine that even when elections will be held, Awami League, you remember about 30% of support base that Awami League has not disappeared, as Ambassador Sikri said just now. It continues to be there, and then what kind of elections are we going to see when you have enormous.
That's right. It will definitely, Professor, be a one-sided election. But they won't get anything out of Pakistan or any other unstable nation, Ambassador. And Professor Swaran Singh, do you think that the lift on Jamaat ban has completely made it clear that this is a capture by Islamists?
Perfectly. As the Ambassador just now mentioned, Jamaat-e-Islami has a very clear agenda. And that is why Sheikh Hasina had decided to ban it, because their very vision is anti-constitution of Bangladesh itself, that guarantees protection of minorities and so on. So in that sense, the fact that Sheikh Hasina had put a ban on Jamaat-e-Islami has now been lifted also on the Islamic Chhatra Shibir, for example. These are extremely radical organizations. They want to create some kind of Islamic Republic in Bangladesh, as has been repeatedly seen in their speeches. And in that context, as you mentioned, India-Bangladesh relations were far more stable during 15 years of Sheikh Hasina. I want to underline that the trade between India and Bangladesh rose about 600% during those 15 years of her period. And what she had particularly done to ensure mutual trust was to clear those safe havens, which is where some of these northeast of India insurgents like Huji or ATTF and others were located, and that created mutual confidence and enhanced the kind of both interpersonal bonhomie among leaders and also intersocietal understanding between two sides, and of course resulted in very strong economic partnership. That has been completely undone and destroyed, and I am less optimistic in the sense how things will turn out to be even after elections. I do understand there will be a complete turn after a popular mandate-driven government is formed in
That's
Dhaka.
what the entire world is hoping for, Professor. But whether or not that will be realized, that is something that only time will tell. But I'm